Alright, time for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Ace Monster rankings on the Protagonist and Rivals. Of course, we went from dual monsters all the way to Arc 5, so now to Reigns, with the protagonist Yusaku Fujiki or Playmaker. And oh boy, this guy has a lot of main ace monsters, or you could say important monsters for his deck, and it rivals Yugi in a way. And because he has so many, I am not going to be counting the evolved forms here, because the evolved forms are usually very exclusively to their main two aces. And of course that will be unfair to the other monsters, so their evolved forms will not count here. But his main ace monster does have a different variation, so I will be counting that one just because. So just to list off his main ace monsters, and I'm not going to really go by name because it's basically two different archetypes here. We got the Code Talkers, which is his first season ace, other than Shooting Code Talker, which showed up a few episodes after the first season, which are warrior based Cybers monsters with each element. And then we got the Cybers dragons in the second season and third season effectively, which obviously also includes Firewall Dragon, which is supposed to be his main ace, but because of promotional material and the ban list and all that, Firewall Dragon got into the weird spot whether it should be a main ace or not, alongside Decode Talker, which is supposed to be the second main ace because Stardust Dragon and Junk Warrior, and this is supposed to parallel that. And yes, these two are the only ones with evolved forms compared to everybody else. So unfortunately, no Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid or Access Code Talker. And I know Access Code Talker is basically a fusion of the Code Talkers, but that's still considered evolved form, so let's just ignore the two ultimate forms of their two main aces. But in that, let's start off with the list, and there are a total of 11 candidates. That's going to be quite a bit. A little less than Yugi, but that's still a lot. And like usual, this is going to be designs based on anime appearances only, so not by effect, because by effect, it's going to be unfair. It's basically whoever looks cooler, and this is all based on my opinion, so everyone can have their own different opinion here. I just like to look at things based on their visuals. On the bottom of my list, which is number 11, X-Code Talker, this one has a okay armor design. I do like the weapons on its arms. I don't like the helmet design. That was way too big, especially the shoulders. It looks way too bulky of a design here. I do like some of the lines on the chest piece, but other than that, I think this is probably the worst Code Talker design in my opinion, because the green doesn't really fit too well. Yes, I do understand it is the wind theme, but it doesn't really look that great. The armor design isn't really that great either, other than maybe the weaponry on his arms, and the helmet design looks way too big and heavy. Number 10, it's Transcode Talker. Not really my favorite design of the Code Talkers, and spoiler alert, all the Code Talkers are going to be very bottom of the list because I'm a sucker for dragons. I do like the orange color scheme for Transcode Talker, and yeah, this one has a gun, but I don't really like the armor design overall with Transcode Talker compared to the other Code Talkers. And then to number 9, we got Power Code Talker. Armor design, it's not too bad. I like the color scheme and the core on the shoulders, but the shoulder design is okay to me. There is the little helmet that I don't really like the crown bit of it. In my opinion, it just looks weird, but other than that, the armor design isn't too bad, and I do like the color scheme a bit. Maybe not the yellow though. And then pausing from the Code Talkers, we got to Cybers Magician. I do count it as part of the Cybers Dragon lineup or the Cybers Ace Monster lineup. I have to say, its design looks pretty cool. Magicians aren't my thing, but better than some of the Code Talker designs in my opinion, which is why it's here on the list. Staff design looks pretty cool as a magician, and this is a Cybers monster, so it has a gazer on it as well, which does look pretty cool, especially for a mechanical like magician. But magicians aren't really me. And then to number 7, we got Shooting Code Talker. Design wise, looks okay. It is a little skinny in some proportions, but I do like that core aesthetic on his armor. It does look a little weird with the color scheme, but it is a water-based Code Talker, so I do understand. I like that this Code Talker has wings, especially the arrow-based part. I kind of like that part as well. And the helmet design on the head, that actually looks pretty cool. I really like it, especially on the gold. Sure, gold and blue doesn't entirely work too well other than for water theme, but still looks pretty cool. Overall, not a bad design. Number 6, we got N-Code Talker. This Code Talker's design is pretty cool. I do like the white aesthetic on his armor, and it is the shield-based Code Talker. Armor design does look pretty cool, and that shield design definitely looks pretty neat as well. And the helmet, not too bad. And now to number 5, we got Decode Talker. Because Decode Talker's design looks pretty cool, warrior-based design, sword design not too bad, little gap in the hole on the sword, but it's fine design I guess. But armor design with the color aesthetic, probably my favorite Code Talker design. Number 4, Cyber's Quantum Dragon. Another synchro dragon that looks like jet base, just because, and it's usually the protagonist, because I don't know why. Now, design-wise, it looks pretty cool as a dragon, looks okay. I like the wing designs in some aspect, but the jet bits always look weird to me in a dragon, but synchro dragons for the protagonist usually look like jets for some reason. And color scheme-wise, it's white and blue, which is also synchro theme, but overall design looks pretty cool. Weakest of the dragon designs in my opinion, but looks cooler than Decode Talker in my opinion because I am a sucker for dragons. I like the horns on the head, the armor on the dragon doesn't look too bad, especially on the thighs, even though that does look jet based, but I'll still take it. It actually looks pretty good. And then number 3, we got Firewall Exceed Dragon. Yes, I know this is another form of Firewall, but this is technically another variation of Firewall, so I'm going to put it on the list as one of the ace monsters as a separate one, because one, it's an Exceed monster, and I want to include every summoning method on this list. But anyway, design-wise, it looks pretty cool. The dark blue theme on it, it looks pretty nice, especially the Exceed colors in a way. It is technically missing its wings, but this version of Firewall Dragon has energy wings, which I really like the energy wing projection. It looks really cool. Armor design looks pretty cool as well. I do like the shoulder armor on it. The head design is different from Firewall because the Firewall for the original form and Dark Fluid has a round ring, unlike this one where it actually has more of a cross on its head. And I actually like that touch. It makes it look a little different. In a way, it does feel a little bit of a different monster, but at the same time, it does have the Firewall aesthetic on it. Overall, not a bad design. I just like it with a projection on the wings more so than without the projection, because without the projection, it just looks a little awkward. And then number 2, Cyber's Clock Dragon. Design-wise, the Cyber's Clock Dragon looks pretty cool. The purple aesthetic mixed with the yellow, on the other hand, looks a little awkward. Yes, I do understand the fusion-based theme, which is why it's purple, but the yellow on the wings just looks a little bit awkward in my opinion for the color matching part. If it was a different color or like a dark theme color with it, or maybe even blue, maybe it would look a little better in my opinion. But overall design looks pretty cool. I really like the head design, especially the horns on the head, and then the wing design. Really like the wing design actually, especially the extra spike on the bottom part of the wing. I do like the black armor design on Cyber's Clock Dragon, especially the vein lines like most Cyber's monsters. And also, I like how the middle toe has extra armor on it while the other toes don't. I don't know why, but it does look like a pretty neat touch right there. And then one extra thing I do like is the extra spikes on the shoulders, because they are a pretty nice touch right there. And now number 1 to the final monster on the list is obviously going to be Firewall Dragon. What can I say? Firewall Dragon's base form design just looks awesome. In fact, probably more so than most other ace monsters on the protagonist side. Yes, I am a sucker for dragons for one, but another reason why I like Firewall Dragon by a lot is the color aesthetic. The blue and light color aesthetic actually makes it look cool. I like the ring design on Firewall Dragon, especially on the armor cybernetic virtual look of it. I like the wing design as well. Overall, it does look like a very cool ace monster, especially when it performs its attack with Tempest attack. The red aura around Firewall Dragon, and especially the wing projection on top of that. And yeah, the wings kind of go away from here, but I really like how the wings is actually just more of a projection than actual flesh looking wings, which it does make sense for being a virtual cybernetic wing, so it should be more projection anyway. But overall, I really like the design of Firewall Dragon, especially in its attack mode, turning all red. Similar concept with Dark Fluid, except that I'm not counting Dark Fluid on the list, so unfortunately he's not going to really count towards that. I'm just counting the base form Firewall Dragon. And I say Dark Fluid has cooler wings if I were to say Dark Fluid, but the color scheme is not as great, but still looks pretty cool, but does work well for evolving from light to dark. So that's it for these rankings on Playmaker or Yusaku's Fujiki's Ace Monster. What do you guys think of it? How would you rank them? And remember, this is all based on my opinion, based on their design and not by their effect. And because I like their visuals more so than their effects, because their visuals is what appeals to me more. Other than that, there's not really much to say about this list. This is basically a Kotaker Cyber's Dragon list because Playmaker literally has like 2 different archetypes mixed in one. And I know some people have been asking me about the Cyber's Dragon ranking, so I finally did it in technicality with the Kotakers. And because I'm a sucker for dragons, I'm obviously going to have a bias towards dragons, which is going to be on the top of the list. But this is my list and my opinion, so I do what I want. But in that, of course, the next one is going to be Revolver or Ryogen. And I'll see you all next time for that one as well. not finale, it will just be the next trend might be best friend or antagonist.